Our story begins on the 5th day. Roxas, Haina, Pence, and Olette head over to the other side of Twilight Town to investigate the 7 wonders for their summer homework. DIZ, watching from his monitors, programs the 7 wonders to make them more interesting. Riku, still in the form of Ansem, walks in and asks how it's going with Roxas, DIZ stating that they are on schedule. He looks over to Riku, asking if he would be willing to go pick up ice cream from the town, since he has a craving for it. Riku leaves without a word and heads to the ice cream shop. On his way back, he stops and looks at the sunset, remembering the times himself, Sora and Kairi would do the same on the islands. He looks down, sad of what he did to Sora and Kairi, but promising to make it right, not just to them, but to the man he met a long time ago. A man named Terra, who made him promise to protect what matters most. He won't fail any of them again, and with Namine almost done reconstructing Sora's memories, and Roxas on the ready to rejoin with Sora, they were so close. Riku looked down at his hands, as he felt something wet. The ice cream was melting. He rushed off back to the manor before the ice cream could melt completely. Riku returns and hands DIZ the ice cream, DIZ slightly upset at the slightly melted state, but starts to indulge in it. He checks up on Roxas, who is making his way to the small waterfall, the 4th wonder, where you see a doppelganger. A drop of melted ice cream lands on the computer, short-circuiting it, and making it spark. DIZ is caught off guard and tries to wipe the melted ice cream off the computer and stabilize everything. But what he doesn't know is that momentary short-circuit changed part of the Twilight Town program, more specifically, the one for the doppelganger. Roxas approaches the waterfall and looks in, seeing his reflection, before it turns all black and steps out of the waterfall, approaching him and challenging him to a fight. The two begin to spar, but the shadow Roxas is more brutal and sends Roxas on the defense, but it's too much for him. DIZ is still cleaning up the mess, and doesn't see the fight happen, unaware of the fight that is unfolding right in front of him on the monitor. Shadow Roxas ends the fight with one last attack, knocking out Roxas. He stands over him and begins to meld into the unconscious boy, then Roxas is left laying on the ground alone. Pence comes over and checks on him, Roxas getting up, and when Pence asks if he's okay, Roxas smiles deviously and says,
"Never better."
DIZ finally finishes cleaning up, only to see Pence and Roxas talking, not thinking much of it. He continues to eat his ice cream, just a bit further away from the computer. Roxas begins to walk away, saying he needs to check on something, telling Pence to go on without him. Pence is confused, but leaves to find another wonder, while Roxas begins to make his way towards the main part of Twilight Town. Once DIZ was finished with his ice cream, he goes to find a garbage bin, and also to go check up on Sora's progress, leaving the computer unattended. Roxas continues through Twilight Town, then goes through the hole in the wall, leading to the mansion. Once inside, he goes to the basement, and begins working the computer, turning on the exit portal from the simulation. Stepping in, he is transported back to the real world. Once there, Roxas smashes the computer, making sure he cannot get sent back into the digital prison. He hears a voice not too far from him. It's DIZ chatting with Namine. Roxas goes to investigate, summoning his Keyblade, which is now a blackened version of the Kingdom Key, similar to what happened to it when it was wielded by the armored Ventus Nightmare. Seeing DIZ and Namine chatting over what looks like a giant egg, Roxas begins to creep forward, making sure they didn't hear him. DIZ tells Namine to keep up the progress, while he goes to make sure Roxas is going to be ready soon. As he turns around, Roxas plunges the Keyblade into the center of DIZ's chest.
"You're not going anywhere anymore."
DIZ's heart comes out of his chest, DIZ asking with his final breath, "Why?" Roxas just takes the heart in his hand, and pours darkness into it, turning it into a heartless. Roxas' hair and skin turn black as night as he reveals his true form. He turns to Namine, pointing the Keyblade at her. She asks why he's doing this, but Roxas just says,
"I am Roxas now. It took one computer glitch and I obtained sentience. His power, his memories. No, not just his. There are others in here. Fascinating."
He then commands the Heartless to attack Namine, Riku quickly coming out of nowhere to defend her. Roxas chuckles as Riku opens a portal, and quickly escorts Namine through it, himself following behind and closing the portal. Roxas looks at the egg, faintly seeing Sora resting inside. He states he will be back for him later, as he walks off and leaves the mansion. Upon exiting, he hears a voice. It's Axel.
Roxas, what have you done?
What I needed to do. I have assimilated Roxas and freed him, and with his power, I can set us all free.
Roxas summons the Keyblade again, pointing it at Axel, issuing a threat. With his other hand, he raises it, summoning Heartless to his side. Axel summons his Chakrams, preparing to fight the Heartless and Roxas if he needs to. A portal opens up, and Riku steps out, telling Axel that now is not the time. Namine needs him. Axel looks at Riku, then back at Roxas, before agreeing and fleeing with Riku. Roxas glares at the closing portal, before looking at his hand, and flashing to one of Roxas's memories of him opening the same portals. He ponders for a moment, thinking of where to go first, but another memory plays in his head, one of Xemnas addressing the organization with his Kingdom Hearts looming overhead. That's it, he thought, Kingdom Hearts is his main target. The organization wants to use Kingdom Hearts to give us all hearts, but what if they were filled with shadow? Maybe everyone could be like him. Roxas opens a portal, and steps through, heading towards the world that never was. Riku and Axel step out of a portal onto the Destiny Islands. Namine is waiting there for them. Axel looks over at Riku, asking what happened to Roxas, but Riku says he doesn't know entirely, as the computer that held the Twilight Town simulation is destroyed. Riku looks over at Namine, asking if she is able to see or alter Roxas's memories. Namine looks sad, saying that the shadow that has taken over Roxas is too strong and won't let her change anything, but she did see what happened to him, and explained the computer glitch to Axel and Riku. Axel looks puzzled, questioning what to do next. Riku says they need to figure a way out of extracting the shadow from Roxas's heart, otherwise both Roxas and Sora are lost. Axel says he is going back to the castle to look into a possible solution, while Riku says he is going to find an old friend who also may have an answer. Roxas steps out of the portal and looks up, the light of Kingdom Hearts shining down across the barren cityscape. He begins to make his way towards the castle, fixed on his mission. He was not going to stop for anything. Axel looks through the computer system, trying to find any clue he can to help Roxas. A voice speaks up from behind him, Syax, questioning what he is doing. Axel is puzzled for a moment, but admits to the truth, stating he found Roxas, but has been taken over. Syax glares at Axel, asking him to explain everything. Axel only tells half the truth, not revealing any information about Namine or Riku. Syax seems skeptical, but seems to accept the story Axel gave him, before stating that they should see Lord Xemnas. Before they could even blink, alarms start to blare around the castle, indicating there was an intruder within the castle walls. Axel becomes shocked as he realizes that Roxas is now here. Roxas is just walking through the halls, nobody's tried to detain him, but Roxas just keeps summoning more shadows, and any samurai nobodies that try to join instantly fall under Roxas's command, adding more minions to his forces. A voice blares over the castle intercom. Xemnas addresses Roxas, stating that he is happy to have him back home, and instructs him to meet him at the top of the castle. He then instructs all organization members to stand down, and let Roxas pass. Any refusal of this order would lead to annihilation. Xemnas waits for Roxas at the top of the castle, eagerly awaiting his former underling's arrival. When Roxas reaches the top, Xemnas exclaims how proud he is to see Roxas back with the organization.
I'm not here for your little club. I'm here to claim Kingdom Hearts for myself.
Xemnas smiles, as he asks how he is going to achieve that goal, Roxas glaring at his former employer. Roxas states that he is going to beat Xemnas, then take over Kingdom Hearts, filling it with darkness, before setting it free to touch every heart that exists, filling them all with the same darkness, making everyone like him. Xemnas drops his smile, saying he has chosen death and treason. Roxas summons his Keyblade, pointing it towards Xemnas, telling him to step aside or fall to him, Xemnas responding by igniting his ethereal blades. Syax and Axel rush to the roof, wanting to see the aftermath of the confrontation, but when they get there, Xemnas is kneeling over Roxas, who is knocked unconscious.
What darkness has taken you, old friend?
The two look at their boss, confused at the almost caring state he is showing towards the boy. Xemnas looks over to the two, telling them that the situation has been dealt with for now, but Roxas needs to be cleansed before he can be brought back into their ranks. Axel asks if Xemnas has seen anything like this before. Xemnas replies by saying nothing to this extreme before. He then instructs Syax to scour the records here and at Hollow Bastion for anything that Ansem or Vexen could have found pertaining to something like this, while Axel is instructed to take Roxas to a restoration pod, in the hopes he can stay comatose till they find a solution. Axel picks up Roxas and carries him off, Syax waiting for Axel to leave before saying that he doesn't trust Axel, and they need to keep a watchful eye on him. Xemnas turns his back, before saying you have your orders. Syax nods his head before opening a portal and leaving.
Could it be you have returned, Vanitas?
Axel does as he is told and puts Roxas in a pod before leaving through a portal and returning to the Destiny Islands. Riku and Namine also there and waiting for any news about Roxas. Axel explains where Roxas is and what happened, Namine expressing even more sadness that she was not able to prevent this in any way, Riku comforting her by saying it is not her fault at all. Axel looks at Riku, asking if his contact has any information, Riku shaking his head. He then turns to Axel, saying that he will need to break into the castle, steal Roxas, and bring him to a safe place that could work as both a place to keep him contained and keep any organization members out. Namine suggests Castle Oblivion, as Roxas has never been there, and the spell affecting Sora's memories could also work on Roxas, delaying his wandering inside the castle. Riku and Axel both agree to this idea, but they still worry about the organization knowing of the location, and the potential they could just wander in. Namine states she has a potential solution for this too, as while she was in Sora's memories, she was able to follow a few links that lead to another Keyblade warrior, one who has been in exile for years. Riku asks who it is, and Namine states that it is the remains of Terra. Namine states that she can explain everything later, but if she reaches out to him again and explains, Terra might be able to be convinced to be a guard dog of the castle, keeping the organization out and Roxas in. Riku agrees to this idea, before looking over to Axel, who just says whatever helps get his friend back. Namine reaches out to Terra, Riku looking towards the spot on the beach where he met Terra long ago. Namine finally looks up and says he agrees to help, looking over at Axel saying that he will need to bring her to Terra and then bring them both to Castle Oblivion. Riku says he will get Roxas, while all that is happening, and meet them at the castle. They go their separate ways, as Riku arrives at the world that never was, making his way towards the castle, being careful not to alert anyone to his presence. He manages to sneak into the room where they are keeping Roxas comatose, and breaks open the pod. Alarms start blaring as Syax comes rushing in to see a hooded Riku leaving with an unconscious Roxas. Syax, now filled with rage, smashes everything within the room, before heading off to alert Lord Xemnas. Riku meets up with Axel, Namine, and Terra at Castle Oblivion. He looks at the living suit of armor standing before him. Riku still has his hood up in shame, not being able to look at the man he once made a promise to, knowing he has failed. He carries Roxas inside, Terra looking at the unconscious boy, and asking why Ven looks like that. Axel speaks up.
It's not Ven. His name is Roxas. When I first met Roxas, I swear I thought it was Ven. The two are basically twins. But now seeing my friend like this, we have to make this right.
Terra looks at Axel, asking how he knows Ven. Axel then explains.
I met Ven a long time ago. We sparred and formed a bond that's supposed to last a lifetime, but I never saw him again. Seems we have a common goal on finding him, don't we, Terra?
Before Terra could respond, Riku and Namine return from the castle, Axel asking if it is done. Namine says that Roxas is deep in the castle walls. To him, this castle will be a labyrinth of endless corridors and empty rooms, and he will forget what rooms and corridors he has been in. Axel states that this is a little inhumane, but Riku steps forward saying that it is a necessary action for the safety of everyone else. Axel seems to back down and agree, Namine now looking at Terra, asking if he is ready. Terra nods, before going in front of the door and using his keyblade to lock it. Terra turns towards Axel and tells him that they will get both Ven and Roxas back. Axel nods before watching Terra stab his keyblade into the ground and assume a kneeling position, becoming the lone sentinel of this fortress. Riku, Axel, and Namine start to head off, but Namine turns towards Terra and says, "Thank you, Terra," before finally leaving. Roxas awakens in the bright white interior of the castle. His head is pounding, he struggles to even walk, but he moves forward. He keeps trying to find a way out, but he is lost, and he can't seem to remember even the room or hall he just stepped out of. He tries to summon his keyblade, but it is not working. He tries to call out to Heartless or Nobodies, but he's unfocused and in pain, and none of either party arrives.
What is this place? What kind of maze?
He stops, and collects his thoughts for a mere moment.
The perfect cage, a maze with no end.
Roxas screams at the realization of his new predicament. Only the empty halls are answering by echoing back his rage and frustration. He stops and with a slight chuckle, accepts his new fate for now.